Hey everybody, this is Drew Garrison. I am Flow Communications Manager, and today I'm really excited to host an AMA with the Vive team. They were the first marketplace to launch on Flow blockchain. They have a really wonderful platform that has so many different amazing pieces of art and NFTs, and really enables our ecosystem to thrive together. So I'm excited to chat a bit about what they're about, talk to their co-founders, and share with the community kind of what they're up to and why you should be excited about what they're building over at Vive. So love to just introduce Daniel. How you doing?
Hi, Drew. Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
And Ilya as well. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, hi, Drew. How you doing?
Doing great this morning, gentlemen. And yeah, just I guess I'm ready to dive right in. We have a lot to cover today, and let's just jump right into it. First of all, I guess for anybody who doesn't know what Vive is, if you could just kind of give us a high-level overview of what Vive is and why anybody who's interested in NFTs and in the space should be looking your way when it comes to peer-to-peer marketplaces. And that's maybe as a developer who was kind of curious about how these marketplaces work, and as a consumer who really loves the crypto space right now.
Yeah, sure. Vive is the first NFT marketplace on Flow. Actually, it's the first global NFT marketplace on Flow, because the first marketplace was NBA Talk Show's marketplace, right? But we're the first community dApp that's developed on Flow. On Vive you can find like 3 types of NFTs. So you have game items like from Chain Masters, you have art from various artists, and you have collectibles from a project called Morrow's Evolution. So this is the 3 types of NFTs you would find. On the art side, we have different types of art. Like we have artists who are creating illustrations. We have artists who are creating 3D sculptures. You have artists who are creating like generative art. So you kind of have like a larger palette of art. So that's let's say from the artist side, and maybe it's like collector side. Development side, we launched Vive we started working last year on it, and we launched it in January this year. But we were, for a brief period, we were on the testnet. So as there were no wallets available, we created our own wallet, who runs inside the marketplace. Security-wise, we're using something called a hardware security module. So we don't have access to people's private keys. They are stored somewhere. We cannot use them without them. So developer side, I think we started working on Flow. Like the first people maybe started working on Flow, I think. So we were definitely early, but we're looking to maybe decentralize more the marketplace in the future, right? Like, because it's cool to be early, but it comes with some like issues of being early, but some advantages also because you're the first one. Yeah, no, if I could add anything.
No, you definitely give a good shot of what we are.
Awesome. And then I know you two actually have been working together for quite some time, even going back before even started building on Flow, but you did participate in the Flow Cadence Cup, kind of our hackathon, before going on to found Vive. I'm kind of curious just what that experience was like, getting involved with Flow at the early stages. Did it help mold your vision for Vive? And then actually, I'm curious now, since I have both of you, give me a little background about like how you two started working together and what you've built in the past.
Yeah, so first let's go to the Cadence Cup. So maybe like before participating actually in the Cadence Cup and coming to the Flow community and all this, I was already in the crypto space, and I was working on a Bitcoin wallet, right? So I was trying to do something like the promise of Bitcoin is like programmable money, right? So you have something, you start programming things. But as a developer myself and Ilya, actually what the programming part of Bitcoin was like, the promise is not there. Like you have something, the programming part is kind of not as great, right? It kind of sucks. So this is something that we were looking to find on another blockchain. Like we think like all the things that decentralized like ledgers allow you to do, we didn't see the promise there for the Bitcoin. It's there for maybe for the money part where it moves around, but programming it's kind of not there. Like if you look at Script, who is like Bitcoin's programming language, it mostly looks like early programming languages like assembler. So when we joined the Cadence Cup, it was mostly to see if this new blockchain flow is something that we could build on top of it. Like if it's something so cool that we could actually don't care about Bitcoin and other blockchains and just build on Flow. So this is mostly like discovering, can we build our project on Flow? Like it's Cadence the next language for programming like smart contracts? And the answer was yes, because we started working on Flow, right? So the answer is like we find something that was not there, that was not done already, and this is what allowed us to discover and to start building on Flow. Yeah, maybe Ilya can say a bit about
to give some story about us. We've met each other when we was working for a previous startup company where we worked. It was in 2013, so we know each other since a while now. So we were co-worker. We became friends, and we are still. Now he's my partner in crime. So we are trying to make cool stuff and enjoy the time together.
Whose idea was it? It was like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make a marketplace on Flow. Like who was the first one to pitch it?
Dan is the crazy guy, so he came with this awesome idea, and I just follow him and say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, because we saw like we were really like when we saw Flow, we were like, okay, this is something new, and the Flow team, we saw that actually there are a lot of things that we like about Flow. It's like from one side, Cadence, because it's like a new programming language. It allows you to go fast. It allows you to, for example, not only go fast but also go safe. Like you could it avoids you some problems when you create smart contract. And another thing that we found really interesting is that you have this new type of architecture that is inspired by processors. So you have like a multi-node architecture that would scale in the long run. And also one thing that we found really interesting is that the Flow team, with Flow, Dapper is scratching their own itch, right? They created CryptoKitties, and now they're working exactly on the same problem. And from not only that, but now they have a bigger project, like on NBA Top Shot, that's actually multiple times bigger than CryptoKitties, and this allows them to actually test what they are doing on the Flow blockchain. Like, okay, does it scale? Yeah, because we are selling NBA Top Shot for millions, like for millions of people, maybe. Also, so this thing, like this parallel thing where you have the blockchain that you're working on, and you have the project that allows you to try what you're doing. Like, does it scale? Yes, because we're doing this. So this is unique to Flow. I don't think there's all other projects that we see out there. They are actually separated. They don't have any projects running on them, right? Some people just build the blockchain, and after they expect others to build on top of it to test what's there. But for Flow, this is unique because you have NBA Top Shot there, where other people coming with maybe games that would be in the same like range.
Yeah, awesome. And then you kind of answered my next question here, which was kind of what attracted your team to build on Flow, and I think you gave a pretty good summary of that. But if you wanted to go a little bit,
so
back on that, go ahead.
Yeah, so part like Cadence, I think it's one thing that attracted us, like the node architecture also, but other things, like maybe one other thing that's really important is like blockchains, like these things are new right now. So you would expect maybe you would get stuck somewhere because this is new. Like all other chains are new almost. Like you get stuck somewhere and you need somebody to answer your questions, right? So when we come to the Flow community on Discord and stuff, we found like people who are working on this are really like humble. They try to help you as much as they can. They answer questions. Like community is also there. So also the Flow team is I think they are really knowledgeable, and And also they can advise on different like architecture questions and other things that in a way, I think in a way, if you think a bit like, if you, maybe we not should not compare maybe, but in a way, it's like, imagine if you could have Vitalik helping you mint NFTs on Ethereum, right? This is the support we have from Flow. Like we are in the early days, like when last year we had like Roham was on Discord, Dieter was on Discord, right? So we were helping you with different things. So this is the level of support we receive there. So this is why we think this was also one of the like points that attracted us to Flow.
So you mentioned that Vive launched in late January and was the first marketplace on Flow and global marketplace at that. Maybe just kind of some reflection on what has been maybe the most surprising thing you've discovered since going live that maybe you didn't expect. Any kind of lessons learned that you think are, as you look back at the first kind of few months of being live.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's surprising is like each time, like when you start to create a startup or a project, you come with some assumptions like, oh, we were trying to do this and that, and after along the way, you try to validate if the assumptions are right or not. Mm-hmm. So some of the assumptions we had were like people are interested in a fiat gateway to buy NFTs. So before we started, I contacted maybe about 500 credit card processor companies, like only the biggest ones, like the same companies who are processing for Spotify, for Coinbase, for all our. So they rejected us. Like they didn't want to work with us at all. We're too small from one side, and another side, like they don't care. So after we went through a big list of companies that rejected us, we decided to not to add any credit card payments. And but once we did that, we were like, we still wanted to display prices in dollars. So because we were thinking that people who are buying NFTs, they have to relate to something they know. So we created like a token on Flow, like a utility token on Flow that was pegged to the USD. So people were sending money on Ethereum to an address, and we were actually minting the equal amount on Flow. They were transacting the marketplace with that amount, like that utility token, and after they were sending it back we were transferring back to their Ethereum wallet. So it's just something like a small bridge between Ethereum and Flow. So that proved to be actually not the best thing, because once we start to have some real traffic, it was really complicated to make withdrawals, because there was no bridge between Ethereum and Flow. And also we were thinking that we were feeling a bit robbed. Like each time somebody was buying something and they wanted to withdraw their money back to Ethereum in USDC, they or us, we should pay like $10, $20 for each withdrawal. So it was a little bit. So after that, Flow was like launched on exchanges, and we decided to only use Flow for transactions. And overall, I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned. Like at each couple of weeks, we find something like we didn't know before, right? So another point that I think people are avoiding in the NFT space right now is like, if you ask somebody, everybody's saying like, oh, I'm collecting an NFT because it has maybe some collectible value, right? A lot of people, like any marketplace you see right there, or they're launching right now, or every project you see that they are saying that, okay, we're launching NFTs because they have some collectible value. But actually, people who are flipping NFTs, nobody talks about this, even on Twitter. But there is a big component, like a very, very big incentive for people to just flip them and think of an NFT not only as for example, a collectible or something that has value, but more like, instead of buying Tesla stock or Amazon stock, you are actually like having like a personal ICO to a real creator, right? So somebody creating, for example, instead of just buying stock in, let's say, Amazon or I don't know, Tesla, you are buying stock in your neighbor who is like a creator, right? So there is a lot more of people thinking this way, I think, than people saying, oh, I'm buying this piece of art to keep it for the next 2 or 3 years, so I would sell it for more, or for example, just keep it. But these type of questions are really avoided right now in the space, because I don't know, people are trying to hide between this. I think you should just open the questions like, yeah, we're just flipping NFTs, people are flipping NFTs. So I think it's more about this than you would think. So this was like a surprise maybe, but we were expecting more of the collector part. But
yeah. Ilya, what's been surprising to you maybe, and maybe something that you weren't expecting in the first kind of couple months with Vive?
I was also really surprised about the collector aspect and the flipping done by the people who bought NFTs right now. But I do think things will gonna change in the future. It's just because we are in the beginning of NFTs, and people will discover how to do with it and what they really want to do with it in the long term. Yeah, that's really the thing which surprised me at all.
yeah.
Do you think some of the speculative kind of engagement with NFT platforms will kind of fade over time as people, like kind of you're mentioning, is they realize what they actually want to do with NFTs and where they find value in it, whether it's utility in a game or something else? Or do you think it's always going to kind of be a speculative thing?
I think one part of the people will continue doing with the speculative aspect, but because there will have more content and more IPs coming in the incoming months or year, people will try to really collect what they like in life in general, and yeah, they are going to change the perspective on the NFTs, and NFTs will change in the future. Right now, we are talking only about art or collectibles, but I do think there will be breaking changes in the type of NFTs you can find in the area.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, is that once you get past speculation and you start actually focusing more on collecting things that you personally care about, I think that's going to be a big change in perspective. And I think that will really bring out kind of the essence of what a lot of people want NFTs to represent, which is art that you care about, that's personal to you, that you can collect and take wherever you want, however you want, because of the decentralized nature of it. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the space continues to evolve. And I think that's one of the things I really love about Vive, is that your team is very, like, you curate artists that you think that your user base will care about, that you could support, and that your community can support. To your team, it's kind of a two-part question because I think it's complicated. First of all, like, how important is quality control? And then with that in mind, when you're trying to make sure that you create the best art possible for collectors and get the best kind of NFTs on your platform for collectors, how do you plan to scale up to meet the demand of, and I'm sure there's a huge demand to be on Vive right now. So kind of what are your plans there to try to scale up onboarding new creators, and while trying to maintain that high bar that your team is setting with the quality aspect of it?
So I think this is more like, maybe it's like unexpected why this is like this, but how can I say this? So like, I think most people know what Y Combinator is. It's like a incubator. So we're a big fan of that incubator. So one of the lessons they preach there is like, do things that don't scale. So contrary to what everybody thinks, you should just scale immediately, but they are telling you do things that do not scale. And their example is about, for example, the co-founders of Airbnb, who, when they started, they were the people who were going to everybody's home and they were taking the picture of their apartments, right? Because they needed to learn what they were putting on the platform. If you either go that part, or you could be like the Craigslist Craigslist part where you can just open the thing and everybody can put their things there. But there are totally two different paths you are trying to take, right? One is like higher quality things that you are trying to build, another one, and you are setting example for people who are coming after once the initial listings are there. And the second one, you just open and everybody can put whatever they want and you don't really care.
Yeah.
So we are taking the first path where we are actually spending time in looking from, like we have maybe like 2,000 people submitted art. So we are looking from everything they submitted and what from this list we're looking of what could be the most valuable thing we could actually mint, like spend time minting on this week. And also, can that maybe some of those things that they sent, they're not the best because we look at their profiles on other platforms, what they created, what. So we are, if we see somebody that sends us like something, some piece of art that's actually not the best he could do, it's like, okay, you should bring the best thing you can do to Flow, and we would mint that, but you don't send any garbage thing that nobody wants because we don't want that, and people here will not buy it anyway. So this is one aspect, and the second one is like, for example, somebody might send you an image, but what we're thinking is like, can you animate this part here because we think this would actually be more interesting for the collector, and just sending like one flat file. So we are working with them to actually maybe work on their art before selling it, right? It's not just like upload your picture and we click a mint button and it's done. It's not at all like that.
Yeah.
And this is what you'd expect from other platforms, but it's not at all like that. So initially, when we started, we spent time like going through, how can I say, recruiting artists one by one.
Yeah.
But now we have like a large pool of people who send art, and we could spend more time like curating than just going after each profile and see what we should bring. Yeah. So
we'll try in the future to scale as much as possible this process, but we really want to maintain this curation and to always provide to the collectors coming on Vive the best content as possible in order to not dilute the other creators, and also to be able to offer the best quality on NFTs. You can see that as a premium marketplace.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, when a user in your community decides to invest in an NFT, I think they should feel confident that the NFT they're buying has a certain level of value proposition, right? Like your team is trying to, from what I can see, and like from what I've looked at on your site and just hearing, you discuss it, is you care a lot about making sure that the content that you're making available for your community is something that is A, premium, like you're saying, and B, it's going to hold value because it's not just a one-off piece. It's something that's coming from an artist who has a portfolio who wants to continue working within your ecosystem. So I get where you're coming from, and I think one of the creators that I'm looking forward to chat about in this next question is going to be Ben Morrow. And before I go into my Ben Morrow question, I would just love to hear kind of your thoughts on how the community has reacted to his evolution series so far.
So about evolution, we work with Ben since before we launched the platform, because the idea when we first launched the marketplace, we're looking for what could this be, like what's a digital marketplace right now. So the inspiration for the marketplace was a movie called Valerian, like Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. Yeah, so you have there some people walking in the desert, but they have some VR headset, and when they see things through their VR headsets, they see different things around it. Like you have an Eiffel Tower, somebody just zaps it and puts it in the pocket. So we were thinking like, okay, all these NFTs are cool, but they might evolve to something much bigger than just a flat website. And one day they might be some type of, let's say, like virtual universe, right? Something like Ready Player One thing. So when we were looking into what could the marketplace be, we were looking at this movie exactly, and we were like, oh, who worked on this movie? So it was a movie by Luc Besson, like a French director, but we tried to get in touch on LinkedIn. He didn't accept us, so of course. But after that, we saw that Ben was working on that movie, right? So we got in touch with Ben and say, hey, do you want to create some cool stuff? We are launching a new platform, and we like what you're doing. I think it's like he's like a celebrity working on so many Hollywood movies. So we work with him to create some NFTs from his past work.
Yeah.
So this is how we got to Evolution. So
yeah.
So on Evolution, it was like the biggest, like I think it's the first backdrop after NBA Top Shot.
Mm-hmm.
We sold about like 10,000 NFTs like in 7-8 minutes and for about 70,000 flow. So at the time it was about maybe 2 million in dollars.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was a good experience, and it's also learning experience for us because we didn't expect as much traffic as it came, and also it helped us know exactly what things do not scale on our on our website, and what could be improved, and for the future. So I think the project right now is like what we discovered is that actually people really love what Ben is doing, right? Because I think he's the main creator behind Evolution, and I think the community really like what he's doing, and the project could grow. Like we intended to be more like something between art and a collectible, but I think as the space evolves, you could build other things on top of Evolution right now, because NFTs are composable, so you could build a lot of other things around. It's just a matter of time until somebody just jumps on the idea and creates a game like they did for CryptoKitties. They created games to put the kitties somewhere. So it's just a matter of time until somebody will use the NFTs from Evolution to create a game out of them or something else.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to my next question, is utility based off of NFTs. And I think you're starting to build that even within Vive with the challenges that you've launched with Morrow for collectors. It's something that we've seen in Top Shot, but I don't know that I've seen it elsewhere. And I'm just kind of curious as to like, how did users respond to the challenge? Were they engaged with it? And, do you think that's just kind of I mean, obviously it seems based on your previous answer, but is that kind of the tip of the iceberg for the kind of interactivity and composability and utility you kind of envision NFTs to have over time?
Yeah, I think there are different categories. For example, for NFTs, where like when you look for art, people don't really expect a challenge. They just want to buy it and keep it and maybe just sell it back. But for collectibles, historically, like when you collect different cards, you would like even Pokemon cards, you want to maybe just create your team battle with somebody, do other things like that. So I think this is like challenges is maybe the first step to tickle this demand from the user base. So I think they most people, like I think everybody reacted like positively to the challenges, and we're looking into maybe creating different other ways to engage the community. And also I think as what we're learning from Evolution, we could apply to other projects that are coming on Vive, because it's the first collectible game that came to us, or collectible, let's say, art, or not really art, like how can I call it? It's like a collectible, the first collectible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not art, because it's when we were working, when we were like, these things look so good in art, but they look so good as a collectible. So what should it be in the end? Like we tried to find a middle ground between them. So we were like, yeah, art, it's okay, but we like if you have just one person holding just one, for example, one Tibro, you would have just one person looking at it. But you really like art, you need a lot of people to look at it to be valuable. And in collectibles, you actually need people to have some utility to the card itself.
Yep.
So challenges actually like tickle this problem. But I think I think where I'm getting at is that this is the first step in Evolution. And I think we'll have more like maybe games, challenges, rewards, and all other like game mechanisms to allow people to maybe fight between them, battle, or other things. And also I think the community could jump in. Like a lot of people are interested in developing on Flow, so they don't know on what should they try their hands on. So I think this is Evolution. Like if you create a game right now for Evolution, you already have about 5,000 people who have Evolution cards. It's like you already have a user base to play your game, right? You don't need much more than that. Like even the simple thing, like I have 3 of these and I want to battle against 3 of those, and just a simple game mechanics would work, just to try your hands on flow and cadence.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, is that when you already have people who own these collectibles, it's like they're looking for something to do with them, right? They want to play with them, they want to engage with them because they like these things that they own. So like you're saying, there's already a built-in fan base that supports kind of the pieces that you could build on top of. So it really opens the door for a team to build something that can engage with NFTs in a lot of different ways. And like you're saying, like it's a very proof of concept. There's 3v3 using a couple of your evolution cards. Like that's just a basic framework of an idea that I could easily see being very successful, because if you already own them anyway, why wouldn't you just do something else with them if it's there for the taking? So makes a lot of sense.
One cool stuff on Flow is that one NFT could hold other NFTs, right? So you could build, for example, some type of like pack or something where you would insert the cards inside, so you would just fight with these things. So there are a lot of concepts if you spend some time looking into what can be done. I think there are a lot of ideas that could be explored.
So you're kind of talking about it now. We're kind of talking about future utility and uses. So where do you kind of think the NFT space is currently, just in its life cycle, and kind of in general, what are your thoughts on it right now? And then in 5 years, which is a long way away in NFT time, and crypto time especially, kind of in 5 years, maybe not where do you see it, but where would you like to see it in 5 years, maybe even is a better way to frame that question.
Yeah. So where is it now? So just to give an example about something. So right. So when Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, like maybe in '95, there's a story saying like, hey, he was trying to raise $1 million from people, and he actually managed to raise. He had the trouble raising, but he managed to raise from 22 different people about 50K each. But each of those people was asking him, hey, what's the internet? Right? They didn't know at that time, but what's the internet? Why I'm putting money in your company? So this is what we're getting right now. Like we are talking with different like people. So they are like, hey, yeah, do you want to raise some money? Yeah, okay, what are NFTs? Like, what's the blockchain there? So from your point of view, what do you see the NFTs going? Like, yeah, so it's the same. So I think the simplest answer is like, NFTs are now what internet was in '95. We are just getting started, so you wouldn't know what NFTs are, but we could probably evolve them to something where we want it to be. So right now, I think the most like what we're seeing from other people is like we are just starting to learn about how we could, like, right now we have collectibles, we have art, we will start to have music, maybe we'll start to have different like 3D objects, virtual objects. We could easily think, for example, that in the maybe the midterm, you would see, for example, brands like, let's say, like Gucci, Prada, Hermes. They would probably just sell you different NFTs, kind of like a skin, where you would just buy a bag and you could just personalize your bag with a digital skin on top of it, right? You could simply have something like a type of, let's say, like a type of ink or screen that's on your bag, and you could just switch it from your phone, and you would just have a different type of bag anytime you want. So but this I think is now I think most people didn't look into how to sell digital stuff because you could just copy paste around, right? You could just copy paste it everywhere, so you would not, maybe don't put too much accent on this. But now as you cannot, like, NFT makes them unique, you would have different business models that you could build around them. And I think in the longer term, like if you're looking in the longer term, I think right now maybe we saw like Facebook building on Oculus Quest 2, and maybe other, like, we're thinking Apple would launch a headset maybe by the end of the year, or maybe next year. Might be expensive, but this, I think all these are going to maybe to a world where we'll have something, finally, some type of digital universe around us. And also all the things in this digital universe might be NFTs, because it's the simplest way to handle that. So we're thinking that right now you just have something, you see things on a flat screen, like you have this on your website, you see just a picture, but maybe not so distant future, maybe, because you already see the Decentraland and others. But you would see all these digital goods integrated in in one or more virtual worlds. Like, we could communicate with each other.
And then looking back from kind of before you even launched Vive to where you're at now, if somebody was developing a marketplace, if you had one piece of advice to share with somebody who is ready to take the dive and really invest their time and energy into building something, if you could give them one piece of guidance, one thing that you think they can carry with them forward, what would that be?
So I think if you want to build a market, like most people, we talk with people who want to build marketplaces, but their use case was to build a marketplace for their own product. Like, I have this game and I want a marketplace for my game. So this would work because you have something like let's say like a vertical marketplace. You only have your own things. But if you are looking to create something, like, no matter what game or whatever, creating a marketplace is really like it's a more complex than you would think about it in the first thing. And if it's not, I think if it's not really your first business and it's just like something like a side thing, like a side project to your main project, you might not want to do it initially and just focus on the first project. This is the same thing we were thinking initially, to have a wallet. Like, we were thinking to have a wallet and the marketplace inside. But as the wallet is not our main business, right now we are looking to, and also there are no wallets available, but right now we're looking to actually working with our people who are, their business is building wallets, right? Like Block2, they have a wallet. We're going to work with Block2 to integrate the wallet in the marketplace, but we would just focus on the marketplace. So if you're building an application that doesn't really need a marketplace, you should just leave the marketplace to people who build marketplaces. But on our side, if you are building a marketplace, and this is what we're trying to do, I think you should actually work on integrating with all the other games and people in the ecosystem, because marketplaces are the center of all the center of all the network. So people need to come, buy, sell. So if you build something like a walled garden, people might not use the marketplace.
Ilya, what about you? Do you feel kind of the same way, or do you have maybe a different perspective to share on something that you think you could impart?
I'm really thinking the same way. Focus is really something really important when you are at this stage of a startup. Daniel is definitely right on this part.
And then, so now I think this is a lighter question because we've gone really in depth on a lot of different pieces and kind of picked your brains about a lot of interesting things you guys are working on and how you think about them. So we're seeing new NFT platforms and projects launch every month, if not every week. Just each of you personally, I'll start with Daniel. What's one IP that you'd love to see an NFT for, that maybe it doesn't exist yet, but like you would be all in, ready to collect whatever it is, however you can do it, that you'd love to see in the blockchain space?
Yeah, so we actually talked with Ilya about these things before. So we were looking like what would be things that would like to collect. Of course, there are some games we play and we think they are cool, but I think overall things that we would like to see are things that do not exist yet. Because mostly what we're looking for IP is like, you're actually bringing something that's already done, and you're just like digitizing the life, right? You're bringing, let's say like you're bringing Pokemon or something like that, or I don't know, Jurassic Park, right? You're just bringing the IP. You're just bringing the IP you're just like bringing the monsters and everything there to the chain, but that would benefit maybe the Pokemon company or Jurassic Park company or what, but would not. I don't know how, in what measure would benefit the collectors. So we're thinking that maybe what's not done yet is like, or what's more interesting, it would be to create some special IPs that are actually working for the blockchain itself, right? Some things that are not done yet, and the main focus should be on the game mechanics and all other things that would actually work on the blockchain, and not only the content as, okay, somebody designed the Pokemon and now everybody's training it, but actually what are the game mechanics that should come to this, that are actually built for the blockchain itself. And we saw this like, maybe Chain Monsters is actually scratching the surface right now with what they are doing. So I think this, yeah. So I would rather collect maybe chain monsters than some big IP that just trying to benefit from the NFT boom.
It's an interesting perspective because there's that perspective, and then I think to add to what you're thinking, it's that a lot of people who really love IPs that are already established, that have been around for a long time, right? They've already collected, they've already bought a lot of stuff, and they're already kind of invested in it. So there's kind of how much further room is there to grow when you already have people who are invested in already into the IP. Ilya, do you have an IP, or are you kind of the same thought where you'd actually rather see kind of unique, exclusive IPs that are new for blockchain tech?
Yeah, 9 months ago, I would answer. I would love to see Epic Games come with Fortnite on Flow, because I was a big addict on Fortnite. But yeah, definitely after evolution, I start thinking that we need to bring really new content and develop stuff really connected with the blockchain, and dedicated and started from the blockchain to the world, and yeah, definitely new IPs instead of famous already existing brand or stuff like that.
It's interesting that you mentioned Fortnite, because when I started thinking about peer-to-peer marketplaces and kind of how it fits into like games and NFTs, the game I thought of a lot was Counter-Strike Global, because they have a peer-to-peer marketplace that is on Steam, and like people use that, and it's actually its own ecosystem. So you think about how that already exists without the support of like the insecurity and uniqueness of a blockchain technology. It made me realize that something like a Fortnite could even use that to sell skins and as a marketplace. So I think maybe it's not that IP, but in general, yeah, the peer-to-peer marketplace for games makes a lot of sense, especially for unique and exclusive IPs.
And I think we'll see a lot of people, like if you bring something like that to the blockchain, I think you would see a lot of new type of jobs that were not existing there before. So you might be able to be like a skin creator, right? Yep. Because you would benefit from all the royalties and other things that come to your wallet. So as people now, we saw like Animoca, maybe they are working on having like a car game on Flow, or MotoGP, for example, like moto game on Flow. So we saw some job offers for people who are actually creating, like engineers who are actually creating virtual cars. Like they are creating a virtual car that identically matches a car that would work. Like it's not only the skin of the car, right? It's just the car works. So these types of jobs, I think, would never be possible before. So this is like, these people are converting or applying what they learn in university to actually to the digital space. So this is something we think it's cool. Like it's like in the future, we think that, yeah, we might go to some like a metaverse.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I'm gonna open up a little bit now here for you guys to kind of chat about anything that you'd love to share about your roadmap that maybe users should be excited about, or kind of anything you'd love to kind of talk about with Vive that you didn't get a chance to yet.
Yeah, so yeah, we are shifting priorities, depends based on different things, but right now, like, we're working on integrative wallets, because when we started the marketplace, there were no wallets there. Now there are some wallets that we want to integrate. If we're also thinking to maybe decentralize the marketplace more, like right now we are like, you are communicative or backend and other things, and we would like to actually, like, Flow evolved in the past six months. So I think it's much more scalable, and you can actually query a lot of more data from the nodes than you could before. So we would like to maybe take advantage of all these improvements. So this is on the roadmap. Other things that we learned from evolution and from the current collectors. So we had some features that we'd like to add and make it possible, for example, for other collectible NFTs to have, for example, challenges, rewards, and other things in a more like a scalable way. Ilya, what should they add?
Yeah, but you're right. So we will work on scale every part of the website as possible, and we have plenty of ideas every day. Um, so
Yeah,
we can just advise people to be on our Discord and to follow us. We are just at the beginning of a journey.
Awesome. It's great. Thank you so much for your time so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into a handful of the community questions that we got while we were kind of letting folks know that we were going to have a chance to chat with you guys. So I'll open up to a handful of these questions now. Can you share some background on the payment options and marketplace and auction types of transactions on Vive? Maybe someone who is watching this and is interested in checking it out for the first time, just let them know kind of maybe the payment on ramp options and kind of how that works. And then just, yeah, if it's just any other information regarding kind of the marketplace itself.
Yeah, so right now the only we started like with as I mentioned before, we tried to add fiat gateways, but that didn't work that well because nobody wanted to work with us. And now if you look at in the how can I say, in the back mirror, we are seeing that maybe that if it turned this way, maybe it's not for the bad, because we are thinking that maybe flow is like internet money or internet in the virtual space, and actually people coming from different countries, they should each have their own fiat money there, but when they come to the internet or to something, they should use something that reunites them all, like they have a common currency. We're on flow, we're using flow, so that's yeah. Regarding the like auction types, we do not have auctions right now, so we only have, you can put on sale NFTs for fixed price. Also, we're working with artists to have different price models. How that works is that actually we are asking and we are like, what are their targets, like what should be your target sales volume for an artist, based on how much he can have it. Like they should be free to ask for any price they want, but we give some advices like, okay, this might be too expensive, this might not work as you think. So after we see from them, for example, their target sales volume, we try to work backwards to see how could that target be reached. Like, for example, somebody say, hey, I want to do 1 out of 1 for 1,000 flow. Like, yeah, that might not work, because actually in the current context and people need to maybe unstake their flow tokens, and you would not sell it, you might not sell it, right? So some ideas are, of course, we could maybe mint 1,000 editions of it, but after that, if it's something that's art, might not be perceived as valuable because there are so many editions of it, right? But might work for a collectible. So like this, we are trying different pricing models. One that seems to work is that some of the first couple of items are more expensive because they cater to somebody who has like a bigger budget to spend on the first, maybe the seller number, like 1, 2, or 3. And after we have some that are like 4, 5, 6, 7, up to maybe 10 or maybe a little bit more, like with a lower price. This helps, like this allows people who have a lower budget to participate in the marketplace. And also, like, if they love the NFT, they could just buy it for a price that matches their budget. But also, people who are actually interested in the first or second or third serial number, they should also be able to buy those. We are trying to counterbalance between somebody like with a lower budget and somebody with a higher budget. We don't have auctions yet, and we don't have like Dutch auctions or other things, but we were like, they're on the roadmap. We should add those, like, because I think it might work for some type of NFTs.
Cool. Great. Next question here I have is, whatever you're willing to share with me on this question is kind of, what are your growth metrics now? You're almost 5-6 months in. Any kind of growth metrics or kind of maybe user numbers or anything like that you're willing to share? Maybe how many transactions, anything in that realm that kind of give us an idea as to the engagement on your platform.
Yeah, so right now we have about 25,000 people trading on the platform. I think for like sales volume, we for Evolution, I think the sales volume was about, when we launched the rewards, was about 1 million or something like that, 1 million something in dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. After on the, like, based on the drops, for example, the drops are like, everything is on the blockchain. So they are like, if you go to something like a TapRadar or Scalability, you would see how much people are trading there. I think initially people were trading more because they just started and the platform was new.
Yep.
So, but right now they are looking like, if it's maybe NFTs cool a little bit down. So they are actually looking into, oh, I spent all my budget. I spent all my budget on all these NFTs. I need to get liquid now to get back, right? Yeah. So this is one problem we're looking into, and we're looking to maybe solve it, because people coming to NFTs are people who are originally traded crypto before, so they expect to buy something and maybe sell it right away for higher value, right? Like you buy something, let's say, I know what token, maybe 2 or 3 days later, you want to sell it for 10, 20, 30, 50%. But when you come to NFTs, you actually want to do X2, X3, X4, X5. So you need to actually, like, people need to actually, how can I say, manage their expectations, because you would not, like, NFTs are, if you're thinking of art, NFTs are illiquid. Like you wouldn't expect to go buy some painting and after 3 days later, you would just sell it, right? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get Mona Lisa right now, and maybe 2 days later somebody gets it for me for X2 or X3. Like, why? Yeah, why? The person could just buy it when you bought it. So, so one part of this is like we are looking into how to get NFTs more liquid. So these things apply to maybe NFTs that are like in an art category. After that, some maybe in another category would be like collectibles. I think they are a little bit different, because the collectibles, they have some, or game items, they have some utility. It's not only just like subjective to what the art is, but it also allows you to do different things in a game, or right. So this have something like, maybe we might call them like semi-fungible tokens, because in their own category you could just swap between them. Like if you have 2 Cornelius cards that have not the first or the last serial number, you could just might be able to say, oh, they might be equal, in their own category. So yeah, so we're looking into how we might be able to make those things more liquid, I think.
Yeah, that's a pretty high scale problem to try to figure out, though. So actually, that you are trying to solve it speaks to kind of where your head's at anyway, and I'm really excited to see kind of what kind of solutions you guys try out. Actually, it should be interesting to see. The next question is kind of something you answered earlier, but maybe I don't want to ignore somebody's question. So scalability and composability are cited as reasons why Vive chose to build on Flow. What was maybe the tipping point or feature that was like, it convinced you that Flow was the right chain for you guys to build on top of? And again, I know you kind of touched on it earlier, so maybe just a quick version of it.
Yeah, so I think one thing that we like is maybe one thing that we think it's really promising is that you can compose NFTs, something like Lego blocks, right? You have one NFT from one game, and you could just compose it by having other NFTs maybe integrate with it. So I think this is like, right now, I think this is the main, when we started, this was the main point why we created for each artist his own smart contract. Like we do not mint everybody from a shared smart contract, like you're not aligned in the contract, but actually each creator has his own contract. So we were thinking to do it, initially we start thinking it like that, because we were thinking that these artists, their art might be able to later be part of a game, or maybe be part of something else, right?
Right.
So somebody would just look at that contract, we know that contract is Ben, that contract is Joe, that contract is Anne. So they would be able to, in one side, take their contract in their smart wallet, like in their wallet, and we will not manage the contract for everybody. Like if you look at other marketplaces, you would just see like lines in the, let's say like in some rare smart contract, but but the thing that you can compose NFTs, this is what attracted us to say like, okay, this is really cool. We could work with that. And other things, of course, other things are like, you can just have resources and you can move them around. You never lose them, and other things like that are actually new to Flow.
And then I got one last question before we wrap up here. What is the metadata schema supported by Vive?
Yeah, so when we started, there was a discussion on GitHub about what schema should we use for metadata, and a lot of people participating. But after a couple of weeks, we found out that we would just stay on that discussion forever. So because nobody took any decisions of what the metadata schema should be, right? So in the end, we went with a metadata schema that was what worked for us, and we actually have something like a hash, like a key value thing, where you something that resembles NBA Top Shot. You have something like the kind of file you have, like an image or MPEG-4 or stuff like that. You have the dimensions of the work.
The asset linked.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them have the asset link, and some of them have the signature, the hash of the file. But we're actually, these are like the first one we made. I think we're looking a lot of IPFS, and for the future, and we're also looking at, because we looked a little bit at it, but it's also like people say it's a decentralized thing, but actually it's not really decentralized as you think, because you would need one company to pin it for you, right? So or you need to pin it yourself. So it's like, instead of just having on our own server, we'll just pin it on our own server instead of just having on our server. So people might be able to pin it also, like on their own computers, but it's not really like the answer to decentralization yet.
Yeah.
So having a hash there, I think this is like on Ethereum, this is like the standard thing. Everybody has an IPFS hash or file on IPFS. So, but right now we just have like a hash inside the chain itself, like inside the smart contract. We have like similar to maybe Top Shot.
Okay, cool. That was kind of the last question. I know we have 2 more minutes here, so kind of perfect timing. Wanted to just thank both of you for stopping in and spending like about an hour just chatting about your wonderful platform. And I think even more interesting is just kind of hearing kind of your concepts and how you think about this space in general. I think is really going to be interesting to anybody watching, to really know what you're about as a team, and how you think about where you fit and where you want to go take your platform. So first of all, thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Ilya, for taking time out of your day to chat with us and chat with our community and ecosystem. Any last shout outs or any last thoughts before we wrap up here?
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, thank you for everyone watching. I think, yeah, so I think if you are wondering if you should build on Flow or not, the answer is yes, build on Flow. That's like, you shouldn't look at other platforms. It's like, it's a distraction. Like, you came here, you are looking at this video, you should just go to docs, maybe .onflow.org, or maybe just a playground, start looking how it works. It's really easy. And maybe the team and the community is really supportive. So you would have something ready in no time, I think. Yeah, so this is blockchain is the future. Like, if you program something in like web, JavaScript, Ruby, Go, Java, Scala, whatever, it should really be easy to adopt maybe Cadence. It's like, it's really at home. Apart from a couple of concepts, like you would not even have to deal with cryptographic signature and all that. It's already solved for you. So yeah. So if you're looking to build, I think time is now. Grass is green. We're just getting started. Everybody's getting started. NBA Top Shot is maybe like 6 or 7 months old, or maybe 8. Yeah. Vive is also new. Chain Monster is also new. MotoGP is new. A lot of other brands, I'm sure, they are coming to Flow because they saw NBA Top Shot there and they want to replicate that success for their own things. So time is now. I think you should start building right now.
Yeah, and if you love what we're building on Flow, go to Vive, hit up the marketplace, collect what you want. You know, the developers who are launching out on Flow, like Chain Monsters, who are in alpha right now, you can go on Vive and use the marketplace there. So I think as the Flow ecosystem grows, we love to see that Vive's going to grow with it, and we're really just excited to have you in our ecosystem, and to continue supporting you and to continue just watching your team flourish as well. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.